This is where the fun begins.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
Hi, everyone, and welcome for the Off the Hour Coffee Chat special edition here. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it this morning due to other obligations as well, but I kind of felt sad that I wasn't going to sit and chat with you guys in our usual coffee chat. And so I was like, why not? Why not just do Off the Hour Coffee Chat and discuss continuity? Because that's been a huge topic on Twitter and in Star Wars in general. And it's a very polarizing, I guess you could say, because the very reason why the EU was basically booted aside was so that they can build their own continuity, their own canon. That the EU was just basically a mess, is what everybody says. It's a mess, right? It's a mess. Hi, the Sentinel. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys all drop in here with me. Again, this is Off the Hour, and I appreciate everybody coming in still to hang out with me and discuss this here. So this is not, no, we're not going to go into major lore. We're not going to do, maybe the show will be full cringe factor instead of talking about, specific lore points and stuff. But I do have a poll as usual, and I am on my main computer. So behind me here was where I would sit, and then you would see everything on the side where I'm sitting at. Yeah, I do need to switch things around and probably get a green screen or whatever, but I'm trying my computer and having my laptop to my side here so I can keep and monitor the chat here while I monitor you guys here and have everything in front of me. Get a little bit more profesh here, I guess you could say. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here with you guys. Can you guys hear me well? I do have my mic plugged in into my main computer, so hopefully I am crystal clear for you guys as well. And yeah, I'm excited to be here with you guys. So go ahead and go to the poll and vote for your favorite young readers adult series. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know, if you guys haven't seen it yet, Young Jedi Knights is on the list, Jedi Princess, Junior Jedi Knights, and then the Galaxy of Fear. So whichever one you favor, please vote on that, and I'll have that up and for a little while, and then we will see who, what wins this poll here. Right now, in the lead is Young Jedi Knights. Galaxy of Fear doesn't have any votes, but I don't think that's as popular, but it is a young readers series as well. It's fun. It was a very fun little series there. Junior Jedi Knights is basically kind of a spin-off or kind of in tandem with Young Jedi Knights. And then, of course, we have the Jedi Princess, basically is a young Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan series. So, yeah. Thank you. So let's see who's all dropping in. I have 10 beautiful souls here. So whatever you're drinking, I usually ask you what's in your mug for coffee chat. I did have coffee. I left it behind me on the other table behind me. This is my art studio, which I also use for my library with housing all my Star Wars and other books. And then, of course, I do my my YouTube content creation in here as well. And so I'm happy to be here with you guys. And if you guys used to watch me on Toxic Femme, I used to use my computer a lot. So you would used to see me on that using my computer. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. Let's see who we have. So we have Iron Inquisitor, Young Jedi Knights for the win for me. Awesome. And then Batu, hello, me too. I don't know what that was now. I don't recall what that was about. And then, of course, the Sentinel. And I am going to use an image that I pulled off of your IG account for this talk here as well. So there is some credit where credit is due. That's the name of the game here. No matter how big my channel gets, if I see someone's information that I pulled from, I will give them credit. And it doesn't matter if you're a big channel or not, or even if you have a YouTube channel. It's about, giving that credit where credit is due. And so it says, hi, hail, Laura, how's the weather where you're at? It's a nice day in Cali. I'm in Cali too, basically South Central Valley. And it's been in the high 90s and low hundreds. So it's been tolerable, but humid. This last week was humid. I think the heat now is dry. I'd rather have dry heat than humid heat any day. Let's see here. And Stunning and Brave Megatron, hey, what's up? Continuity means whatever I do, what I want. Cartman's voice. Yeah, I'm not going to try to do Cartman's voice. I'm not going to try that. No. But I get it. And let's see here. And I got 15 beautiful souls. So please hit the like button and share that I am live on all your social media platforms. That would be greatly appreciated. Iron Inquisitor says, wasn't sure if I was going to make it here either. Me and Grandma were cleaning the garden, but we finished in time. Perfect timing. Awesome. And I'm glad that you were spending that time with your grandmother. My grandmother raised me, so I know that time is valuable. Let's see here. Whoops, it jumped on me. I can hear you fine, Laura. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I do have my mic plugged in here into my main computer. It never really worked well on my laptop, which I've been using a lot more lately. My laptop that I've been using within the last year is supposed to be just mainly for my digital art, because it's one of those that turns into a pad where you disconnect it from the keyboard, and then you so it's supposed to be for that digital drawing, which I've done a lot for the channel with that. And then doing digital art and, all my artwork digitally that I have. But I've been using it for my stream as well and for my YouTube content. So I figured I'd switch back to this main computer here and free up some of the space on my laptop. So there you go. A little bit about that. Like you guys care, but that's just a little bit what's going on here. That's why the view is different behind me. You sound like an angel. Well, thank you, Stunning and Brave Megatron. You're such a kind-hearted soul, because I don't like my voice. I really don't. Hia. You know what Hia means in Lakota? It means no. So if you ever watch Dances with Wolves and you see, what's her name? Stands with the fist, and Dunbar goes up to her and, she's, cutting her wrists and stuff and under the tree and stuff because she's in mourning and everything. And he goes and gets her and she's all hia like that. That means she's saying no, no, no. So yeah, a little bit of history there. Howdy, drinking iced tea, huh? Awesome. That sounds good to me. In fact, I am going to get a flavored iced tea here pretty soon. So you might see me sipping on that in a little bit. But it's going to be grapefruit infusion iced tea. So I can't wait for that. I'm drinking some sort of raspberry vitamin C drink. Yes, keep it up. Keep up the vitamin C and zinc and especially the vitamin D. That helps great with the immune system and also getting sun. So getting sun is the more natural way of letting your body process vitamin D. And Batsy Universe, hey, what's up? How you doing? Okay, and any Stranger Things fans in the chat? I haven't been keeping up on Stranger Things, though I know a lot of people that I follow and talk with do. I just don't watch it, so I can't really keep up on that. I don't watch a lot of things lately. Because, when I do, it's already stuff that I own and I love. But I haven't been watching Stranger Things or any of that. Some of my family has. I just don't keep up. Okay, it says, I only got water. That's awesome. Water is the best thing to drink. That's what our body needs. Our body needs about, what is it? Take your weight, and I think divide it by half. I could be wrong, though. And then whatever that number is, that's how many ounces of water your body needs for its structure. So, yeah. And then, so let's see. Oh, you guys are chatting here. Okay. Again, so if anybody's tuning in, please go vote on the poll here and let us know, or, just vote which, young readers, adult series you like. Truly an art studio. Yeah, organized chaos. You could see a painting behind me that I did. That is, I used one of the paint knives there, and I used beeswax. And that image behind me that you kind of can see in the black right there, that is the view of the Mississippi River from space. So very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So I did that for an art class there, and I got great reviews on that. Hello, how are you doing, Zagarat? Coffee for you, awesome. I had coffee. I have a little bit of that sitting behind me on the table behind me in front of my window. Now I have water, and I'm waiting for some fruit infused tea. Let's see here. And yeah, so today I was like, okay, so I promised everyone that this coffee chat will go back to For Society and expand more on that lore. And then lately I've been feeling just like social media and just being in the front of the computer has been draining me. And then also what's been going on lately, like with continuity in Star Wars and just the frustration with it, even though, you know, I specifically just stay within the realms of George Lucas era of Star Wars, just seeing how further destruction that's going on towards the movies. I'm just like, I had to step back and collect myself from that. So it's not necessarily I'm upset with what they're doing to their own property, Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, but what's happening with and how people are going to start viewing it. George Lucas's Star Wars, his movies. Now, the EU from George's era kept very good continuity with the movies because that was the focus. Everything was supposed to stay in line with that. And yeah, so, you know, so it's just been kind of frustrating a little bit. Not that I'm losing faith in Star Wars because my faith has always been with George Lucas era Star Wars. And it's just that I'm just disgusted with the direction, with everything that's going on, and seeing the praise like, oh yeah, and you know, it's marvelous, blah blah blah, you know, all that bull crap. When in reality, these people are just consuming blindly, and it's just frustrating to me. So if you're tuned, I got 22 people in here now. Awesome. You guys hit the like button. And again, you know, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Become a member. That helps the channel immensely. Maybe I can get my green screen behind me and I can stay on this side of the room here and kind of like keep it more contained for the live streams and stuff. And Soul Assassin's in the house as well. Thank you so much. So if you guys are tuning in, please go vote for your favorite young readers adult series. And of course, I have to keep that in tandem or in the realms of coffee chat, the poll here. Let's see here. Iris says, my best friend is excited for Andor. She was the one who introduced me to Star Wars. Yeah. And people want something new, and I get that. They want something new and exciting and stuff, and they want to see it visually on the screen. And I get that as well, because when you read it, you see it in your mind, right? When you read everything or when you play it on a game, you still see it visually, but when you read it, you see it in your mind's eye. And so you go from what, you know, George, all the everything we've seen from the films, and we have an idea of what Star Wars looks like through like Ralph McQuarrie and the comics and all this other stuff. So when we're reading something, we see it in the mind's eye, and it makes it a part of, you know, I wouldn't say headcanon, but you do see it visually, and it just makes yourself more immersed into it. And it just feels so wonderful just to see it and play it out in your own mind's eye. And then Studying Brave says, I got the cake minus the the cake or the Coke. Is that what you meant? That jumped. I got the Coke. There we go. Yeah, I said cake. Cake sounds good though. And Soul Assassin says, and here I thought it'd be a day off. Got some things done, and suddenly OG throws a coffee chat of howdy everyone. Yes, it was like I was going back and forth. I did not want to miss my usual coffee chat with you guys. So I was debating after I got back from and stuff. I was debating, I still want to sit down with my peeps and have some coffee chat with you guys and discuss and discussion. And I might as well discuss what's been keeping me off of social media off in the last few days, and see what you guys have to say and create awareness for this. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to like. I like to say I like to influence you on the good stuff you like, right? But not the bad stuff. But hey, that's just me, if that makes sense. But I'm not going to tell you what to like. I'm going to give you information so you can make your own constructive criticism and thoughts and go in the direction where you need to go, with all of this, with the direction Star Wars is going. Let's see here. So am I. So I'm guessing you're agreeing with me. And then nostalgia blinds reason. Yeah. It used to be we would get excited for a novel to come out, right? Because we have read the novel before, whether it's in a series or it's a book that, we'll connect it with it somehow. And you want to see what's going on in the world with our heroes, within the galaxy, and what the Imperial remnants doing, or maybe it's the PT era, what's going on with Palpatine and the war and everything going on there before the dark times, so whatever part of the Star Wars eras you are in, timeline, history, you always got excited for that book, right? It's that you're like, oh, okay, we left off here, let's see what's going on. And you anticipate. Now it's about the member berries. Now it's about, am I going to see Luke Skywalker again doing something unique and great? Because they're not going to tie it into the Disney trilogy, which is bullshit because they are. Let's see here. Hit the like button. Yes, thank you. All right. And then Batsy says Disney could have made lots of money on a movie that focuses on Vader hunting and killing Jedi, but for some reason they have an obsession with putting those loser Inquisitors in everything. They wanted the Obi-Wan story, right? They wanted the rematch of the century kind of deal, right? There was so much potential, for these new Disney Star Wars fans to get something great and still pay homage to the direction George wanted Obi-Wan to go. But it broke continuity because they weren't paying homage, they weren't paying respect, because George did not want them to fight in between the movies. The first and second fight, their rematch, was between the ending of the PT and the beginning of the OT. Those were the rematch fights there in those movies. And I think they totally failed with that. And they totally disregarded the intentions of George Lucas. But when did they not? That's the thing. And I didn't even think I would ever be at this point, other than, see the destruction of Luke and the three heroes, legacy heroes. But I never thought I'd be at a point to where we would still be continuing to see the destruction of Star Wars under what George intended them to be. And that's what keeps me in the George Lucas era of Star Wars, because I know there's no destruction of that. The continuity was really well done. Yeah, there are still some inconsistencies here and there, but it's not a freaking mess. It's not a freaking mess. So I'm going to go through the chat, and then we're going to pull up the first article and go through that. And this goes into a character that was even introduced in George Lucas era of Star Wars. But then it also addresses a novel that Filoni is disregarding. So there's a little hint on that. You guys might know what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Always room for cake too. Yeah, I agree. That sounds like cake. Did you say cake? Yes. And then holidays are coming up. Yeah, so get your merch. And I forget all about that. And I still didn't put up any of my painting merch up. I haven't. It's been crazy. I need to get my act together and get everything out to where I promised, with the stickers and all of that. So you guys, I'm just like totally like running on Indian time. If you guys ever heard that term, Indian time, where when the right time comes, it'll happen. Or we're always running late. I always hated that. And now those analogies, or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, I'm sorry for running on Indian time on a bunch of stuff. No CC to CC today, huh? With CC to CC. Am I missing something? All right. Let's see here. And Batsy says, you and Open Airlock have influenced me by helping me with my action figure collection. That's wonderful. I love it. I was going to buy a book of Boba, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan Vader, but I chose to an EU character instead of the Book of Boba Fett. There you go. Yeah. Get the collectibles because they're going to be hard to find. There's an antique store that I go to in a city near me because I live on an Indian reservation. So I have to leave to go and, into to small towns and cities to do some shopping and stuff. And, but there's this antique store where I do find some classical EU books without the legends on them, obviously. And then also collections of characters like, like Jedi Force ones and stuff like that. And I have some hanging above. That's why I looked up. Have some hanging above me here. And so when you find them, get them. If I can provide a link here soon, I will. You follow me on my YouTube community page, and I'll post the link there. Let me see here. Very true. I always wanted more and more, and now I'm like, stop. Yeah, just stop it. And even the climate with Obi-Wan now, it's like, oh, we can't wait till season 2 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series so we could see him bi. And I'm like, really? Is that all you care about? Is the sexuality and who a person's attracted to and sleeping with? Star Wars was never about that. Yes, we've seen the development of Han and Leia's relationship. We've seen the development of Padme and Anakin because that was very necessary to move the story forward for the OT, right? But it was never full on like, oh, who am I going to sleep with? Who am I attracted here? Padawans, making out all the time and stuff. And it kind of breaks continuity in that sense with the PT and Anakin's arc. So that's weird. We did know Obi-Wan had attraction and with Siri Itachi. And of course, Satine, which I really don't like talking about that one. To me, that never happened because that was just a rehash of Satine, or not, Siri, but with a different name and all of that. So that video will be coming up here pretty soon. Like I said, I had to step away from looking at lenses because I am also doing some online training with my yoga teacher training so I can get a raise. And so I just need to step away and disconnect from looking at screens. I need to get those protective glasses and also just step away from social media in general just to give myself a break, like a nice, healthy mental break, So the Obi and Vader fight too much. Yeah. Truth be told, you can rarely enjoy something and feel pleasure from it then less often you taste it. Too much is no bueno. Disney wants to add people on something people on who love real Star Wars don't enjoy. So I think I read that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Shit, I really need my glasses. Tribal time. Tribal time. That's another Indian time, tribal time, Native American time. But it's like we always said Indian time. Running on, and there's even songs from contemporary Native American singers that have, about running on Indian time and stuff. It's kind of funny. Maybe I should clip that and put that on here. If I'm running a little bit late for this, I'll play it running on Indian time or whatever, just for the hell of it, for the fun of it. It's not too late, or it's not late. It's called Fashionably Nerdrotic. Oh, because he's always late for his stream sometimes, huh? I don't watch him that much anymore. Sometimes I'll watch a video or two or whatever, but I haven't watched much YouTube channels in a while either. Not that I don't support anybody. It's just like I said, I just need to disconnect my eyes and my mental state away from that. So it's just for like mental health, I guess you can say. We all need a break. We all need the break, mental health break from social media, from watching YouTube, all of that. Just so that we can keep our minds clear, go have some fun with family, friends, or just even go outside, get some sun or whatever. And I'm not like the kind of person that's, oh, you need to go touch grass. That's not what that's about. It's just about having that mental break so you can have some clarity and all that. So, but that's not what my coffee chat today is about. Yo, you said no coffee chat yesterday. No, I said it this morning, no coffee chat. I guess, I don't know. That and all the adults reading teen books and wanting adult content. Yeah, that's kind of gross. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this up because I can rant on forever with you guys. So let's go ahead and pull this article up here. So if you didn't know what I was talking about, here you go. Voila. So I would say she's been turned into a Mary Sue. I would say she's overrated now. You guys may agree with me or not. If you're an Ahsoka fan, that's totally up to you. Filoni is very much an Ahsoka fan with his own character, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So basically, Star Wars Ahsoka writer speaks out against frustrating canon dispute. So there we go. So we have canon dispute, basically continuity. So if you ever want to say, people say, argue and say canon and continuity are not the same. Definition, they're not the same. But when you get into franchises like this, continuity is what makes the canon. So if you have one single continuity, the canon is one single canon, right? So when you look at it in that perspective, and I think even Sue Stroni said basically at one point that continuity and canon are the same for them. It's all one thing. It's all one thing, and that they keep everything, try to keep it in one history and point of direction. Hey, Larry. Let me see. Did you go up there? Oh, yeah. Great studio with great artists. Thank you so much, Larry. Another channel member. Thank you for your continued support. Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at this article here. So basically, the writer for the Ahsoka novel speaks out in frustration about canon dispute, and it does deal with Filoni. So let's get into this. Only a Sith deals with absolutes. While this off-quoted line from Revenge of the Sith was directed at Anakin Skywalker, it also applies to the question to Star Wars canon. Isn't that funny? These days, it applies to Star Wars canon these days. From the franchise's earliest days, canonicity has been an issue due to Star Wars Holiday Special. I've never questioned the Holiday Special versus other parts of the EU and everything in the greater vision of Star Wars comics and the expanded universe books. We never had issues back in the days. There was really no issues, basically. And I did post up on Twitter. Some of you guys probably got upset with me and said it was blasphemy. That I said that the Thrawn trilogy is overrated. To me, it is. I love it for what it is. It's one of my favorites still, but I still believe it's overrated. I do adore it from how it opened up the EU to further meticulous creation of the continuity, I guess you can say. So the proof of the Thrawn trilogy being the success made Disney Lucasfilm, including George, wanting the continuity in the EU to be more streamlined and tied up neater. And so that's where they started. And they didn't build the tier of canonicity or hierarchy of it till later, but that set more focus. They caught on to what fans wanted, and they went forth with it to create a more streamlined, tightened up the continuity or the history of Star Wars so that everything can run together without any contradictions. They had to go back and do some corrections, mind you. Keeping continuity in such a huge platform of history of 25,000 years plus is no easy task. It's not an easy task. And I, at the time, commend all of them working with that continuity under George Lucas. I commend them all for such a great success. So seeing this here saying, oh, well, the earliest days, there was issues, blah, blah, blah. Not necessarily. Yeah. And then for very beginning, when canon wasn't considered like tying it all in, like in 1977 and stuff like that, that was the beginning of Star Wars. And then later they started, tying things up, tying it up until eventually they said, let's do one continuity, one history. So if you look at the evolution of the EU, it's beautiful. They knew what they wanted. They knew what we wanted, and they worked towards that. And so when I talk with people who hate the EU and they're like, it was a mess, it was all over the place, I'm like, do you know the history of the EU? And all they can point to is old Starlog quotes and similar ones, and pull up a certain website, and but it doesn't share the history of the EU. It just has these random quotes from George Lucas or whatever, or even or even someone else, maybe like Filoni, but a lot of them has been debunked. But they keep using it. But anyways, I'm not going to go on about that. So, and despite Disney's efforts to set records straight, what record straight? Star Wars canon confusion continues with the latest cause rooted in Ahsoka Tano and the upcoming Disney series Tales of the Jedi. So there we go. So anything that Disney has a dispute with or trying to set record straight is within their own continuity of canon, not what came before. In fact, they basically stated, and I was going to pull up the statement off of StarWars.com, but I didn't. But basically, it said that they were going to go ahead and toss aside, and I'm rephrasing here, paraphrasing. But basically, that they were going to toss aside the EU so that they could build their own canon, their own continuity. They never directly stated that the EU was canon, but just in the simple words of that, shares that it was canon. Because if it was never canon, they didn't really have to toss it aside to create their own stuff, because it wouldn't be considered part of the movies and part of the saga, right? So there you go. So you don't have to say something for it to, to admit to it. I mean, you don't have to specifically say to admit to it. So basically, Lucasfilm officially announced the new 6 episodes animated series from the Clone Wars and the Star Wars Rebels Dave Filoni. So basically, Tales of the Jedi basically comes from an already established lore, and I should have used that on there too, the Tales of the Jedi, but that's okay. So it already comes from a series that is from the EU, but now they're reinventing it to be on screen. And so there you go. So they already borrowed a name instead of coming up with something new and fresh, even for a title, right? So at the 2022 Star Wars Celebration, that's when it was announced to set the release this fall. 3 of the episode shorts are expected to focus on Ahsoka Tano. So there we have it. This is what this is about. But this is also about the continuity in canon and how it's like they threw away the EU so they can create their own canon, saying that the old EU or the real EU was a mess. And we're going to get to the point why this Disney Star Wars is much more of a mess from the beginning. Of course, this is far from the first and only series to further explore this heroine's story. Filoni is currently filming the live action series starring Rosario Dawson, which is expected to release in 2023. But long before either series went into production, fans read about the character's past in 2016 Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston. So here we go into the meat and potatoes of this as well. And I see you guys are hopping in here with your chat comments here, and I'll get to you guys here in a couple of minutes. While Tales of the Jedi is expected to show more on Tano's past, there have been rumors suggested that Filoni directed series will contradict what fans first read from Johnston's nearly 6 years prior. Oh my God. Filoni is contradicting more continuity. He began that when he was given full creative freedom with the Clone Wars, right? And it still continues on today. He's done it him and those who worked with him has done it with the Book of Boba Fett, has done it with the Kenobi series. Well, he wasn't really in charge of that. It was Chow. And then also with Mandalorian. And it still continues. I am not surprised. Color me shocked. No, not really. I'm not shocked. Not shocked whatsoever. So if you're tuning in, please vote on the poll here. And I'll be pulling that down here pretty soon. So, but anyways, going back to the article, I am not shocked whatsoever. I am laughing at this shit because it's funny. Because the thing is, like, the original EU was a mess. That's why we had to discard it to make our own continuity. And I need to get this ad out of the way. Get out of my way. And so they come up with this. And so they're going to build a better continuity in the canon. It's all going to, come together nicely. They couldn't do it in the past. They're going to do it now with Disney. They're full of shit. Honestly, they're full of shit. And so, so we can laugh at this now because these EU haters from the past, now they don't have any ground to stand on, because not the creators within Disney, Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm can't keep their shit straight whatsoever. Okay, so let's go on. Of course, this is far from the first and only series to further explore this Heron story. Filoni currently filming. Oh, I read that one. Okay. Well, Tales of the Jedi is expected to show more of Thanos' past. There have been rumors suggesting that the Filoni directed series will contradict what fans first read. And so we're going to go ahead and scroll down. So here's a glimpse of, of the series from Tales, I guess, what we're expected to be to see. And I was curious about their feet and why feet are covered up when Togrutas basically really don't wear nothing on their feet. So I don't know, but that's just me. I wish I could see their feet here, but baby Ahsoka's feet are covered. Okay. And let's see, in the wake of the potential Tales of the Jedi plot leaks circulating online, current fans have suggested that Dave Filoni and Lucasfilm conspire to change the canonicity of E.K. Johnston's Ahsoka. But according to a post on Twitter by Johnston, that's not the case at all. She comments on how it's frustrating to see people gleefully declaring my book non-canon. Well, when you start contradicting stuff, and from my knowledge of like films or the movie parts versus novels, once something bigger contradicts the smaller stuff, if you're going to go with hierarchy, that means it's non-canon. But we don't know what Disney Star Wars is doing with their canonicity. But I remember Matt Martin did state that that everything was canon, but then he went back and said anything that you want to be canon is canon. So there's this canonicity kind of confusion going on with the story group on what is and isn't canon, and that is another big joke in itself. So Johnston says, there isn't a big conspiracy behind the changes in Ahsoka's story. Dave approved the book 6 years ago. So he approved the book 6 years ago and then kept working on her journey. It's frustrating to see people gleefully declare my book non-canon instead of just using their imaginations like we did. So that's kind of a circular thing here. She's kind of contradicting herself, really. So he approved her story, but then after approving it, he just totally is like, it's not what I want. I approve. I like what you did. It's not what I want. So what I'm going to show about Ahsoka is going to contradict what's in the book, which we already discussed this before by seeing Ahsoka in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, no, not in Mandalorian, but just in the Book of Boba Fett. Was it in The Mandalorian? I don't know. I don't really watch. So whichever one it was in. Yeah. So, and there was already contradiction that people pulled out from the books versus her appearances in the shows. Right. And I wish I would have written that down, but I didn't. But yeah, so people are seeing the novel non-canon because of Filoni deciding to change things up. And I think people are taking it in perspective of the fact that Filoni created Ahsoka. And so maybe what he does with her prior to what was done before will be the canon. So see how they're kind of contradicting each other. And so now she's kind of upset because fans are like, it's not canon anymore. And then she's like, use your imaginations like we did. So that means that we have to write the story, or not we, but Disney fans have to write the story for the author, the creators, to try to make it fit. It's not the fans' responsibility on writing the plot holes or filling in the plot holes, writing the story for what should have been kept in continuity. And I'm so glad that, George Lucas' era of Star Wars kept that continuity. So we didn't have to, have to do the writing of the story for them. We could do what ifs, or like what ifs or predictions and stuff like that before the other novels came out that were in the series. But other than that, we didn't have to write the story for the authors or the creators. But now they want the Disney fans to use their imaginations and write the story for them because they screwed up. Because Filoni screwed up, because he can't keep continuity. And basically, remember that quote that he said, that George basically said, I think George was joking around, but Filoni took it seriously, that continuity is for wimps. I really think George was basically joking around about that, and Filoni took it to heart. Literally took it to heart. Literally took it to heart. Right? And now he's following suit. I can't believe this. I can't believe this whatsoever. And he is a big problem in Star Wars, past and present, if you haven't got the picture. If it's not crystal clear to you, Filoni's the biggest problem. Yeah, he created some good content. There are some parts of the Clone Wars I like, and those parts of when it just only has the clone troopers. There's episodes I like that only have the clone troopers and it's their story only, or mainly their story only. But other than that, he doesn't care about continuity. When he said he was an EU enthusiast, or he loved the EU and fans called him out for a mistake, then he realized that his gig is up. And then he's like, well, I don't have to adhere to the continuity or to the EU or whatever. And so then he started using all willy-nilly, to where even George's daughter Katie called him out about Maul's legs. Yeah, and then even to say that George wanted Ahsoka dead, and he's like, well, I'm on the Ahsoka survives camp. And then so he managed to have her disappear, very conveniently have her disappear, so that she can survive, so she can live on against George's wishes. Yeah, because we know the Clone Wars, basically was canceled on Cartoon Network. And so there was nothing going on with it. And then Rebels came out. So he got to use Ahsoka in Rebels, right? Because, George was no longer at the helm over Lucasfilm. And then she disappears. And then we're like thinking, oh man, okay, because George wanted her dead before the end of the Clone Wars, right? So she disappears. So we think, oh yeah, okay, well, we're not going to see her anymore. Good, because she doesn't fit basically in the era of the Revenge of the Sith, right? Because we don't hear about her, and she's a major player towards Anakin and everything, to where she could have contributed further to his fall, right? And so she disappears. And I don't remember the name of the Dark Temple and stuff where they fought, her and Vader fought. I don't recall that, because I was never a fan of even the Rebels. So she disappears. So everybody's like, oh, she's dead. And then we had these big Ahsoka fans. No, she better not be dead. And then finally, at the Star Wars celebration or something like that, Filoni wears a shirt, Ahsoka survives. Or I don't know what that shirt was. And so she survives. And so now she's contradicting continuity throughout, like, the dark times into the EU, or not into the EU, but into the OT. Where was she at fighting when Luke needed the help to fight Vader? Where was she at when they defeated, the Empire at Endor? So it leaves all these questions here. So anyways, I can go on forever with this, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the article and go to the next thing here. If you haven't had a choice or chance to vote, please do. Please vote for your favorite young readers or adult series. Young Jedi Knights is at 50%. Jedi Academy is at 42%. Junior Jedi Knights is at 4%. It's tied with Galaxy of Fear. So there you guys have it. I'm going to keep it up for another 10 minutes, and then we'll see the results. And I kind of figured that Jedi Apprentice and maybe Young Jedi Knights would be kind of neck to neck a little bit with the popularity, but we'll see. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and see what you guys are saying in the chat before I finish this article, because I am very curious. You guys been hopping in the chat here. You guys been killing it. Let's see here. Filoni created Ahsoka for the animated series so he could do what he wants with her, apparently. Yeah. Let's see here. And I didn't zoom all the way up. I'm sorry if I'm missing some people's comments. Crazy idea, since OG is nearly 500 vids. She can do a review of one of the Disney shows. No, thank you. Soul Assassin. just go on with that bad take right there. Crystals have periods now. I don't know. Do they? Crystals? Am I missing something? Honestly, Alex, am I missing something? Where did that come from? I'm with you, robotic. Ew. Let's see here. Oh, because they bleed in a crystal out. Is that what you mean when a Sith bleeds a crystal out? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, in order for dark Sith to use crystal for building a lightsaber, they have to bleed it out. There you go. The dark side into it, making the crystal red. I think that's such a stupid concept. Stupid concept. And let's see, I rewrote a book ending not Star Wars in my head, and when I reread it years later, I was confused on why the end wasn't like I remembered from my revision. That's funny. Let's see here. Filoni can screw up Ahsoka canon and continuity if he wants, but will suffer the consequences. Of course, the fans won't like it. Yeah. That's the thing, is that, you know, that's his thing. He don't care. And I see Soul Assassin laughing down there. Let's see here. And let's see what Alex has to say. You know what I hated the most? A vid I saw of George being brought into the Mando show studios by Filoni and shown around while being treated like an old senile person. They showed him the Grogu. Yeah, I seen that too. That was kind of, and he's like looking at it. And to me, his expression was like, what the hell is this? So I don't know, but that's just me. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead. Yeah, I know. Laugh all you want. Laugh all you want there, Soul Assassin. Let's see here. All right. For the Star Wars faithful who weren't in the know, the fact that Filoni approved the book back in 2016 is important to note. Yeah, it's very important to note now because he's contradicting the damn thing. If the character's creator approved the book, that was Ahsoka's story at the time. Keyword, and it's it's in italics at the time. So then basically whatever is coming forward that happens and it contradicts it, it's retcon, right? Is that what I'm seeing? Is that what I'm hearing? However, as the writer noted, that doesn't mean Filoni stopped working on her tale. No one doubted that he stopped working on her tale. It's just that now he's contradicting another person who wrote about her. So this right here is irrelevant. And I didn't even see who wrote this article. We'll go back up on that. After Star Wars: The Clone Wars seemingly ended in 2014, Filoni managed to bring the heroine back in Star Wars Rebels before. Okay, we already talked about that. Even though some have supported Johnston's view and pointed out that the book and new animated series can still complement one another, the Star Wars writer shared that he expects more of the same once the show debuts. It's probably going to be more than the new, or it's probably going to be more when the new animated show comes out, but the alternative is just what we got with Luke, which is almost nothing. Oh, you sound bitter. So basically, I don't get this last part, but the alternative is what we got with Luke, which is almost nothing. Yeah, they just gave glimpses of Luke for member berry service. That's all. Remember when Luke was a badass Jedi in the EU that came before this under George Lucas? Well, we're going to give you a glimpse of this, but eventually he's going to end up, failing everybody. So when you get to the Shadow of the Sith, he knows about Exegol and he knows about something bad stirring up over there. Yet he just ignores it, doesn't tell anybody, whatever. So that's his fault too. So do you remember berries of when he was great? Well, he's still heading to the Luke Skywalker, in the Disney trilogy. There you go. All right. What he wrote was from a certain point of view. Of course. So now you guys get it. I'm not going to go on anymore with this article here. So now you guys get it. That the focus has never been about continuity with the new lore, with the new franchise. Even though that's what they stated about when they decided to discard the classical EU, the real EU, because it was a mess. We need to create a continuity that's not a mess anymore. Everything needs to tie up. Yeah. So they basically contradicted why they decided to just basically toss the real EU. They're fucking hypocrites. And if you're not laughing at this point, why not? There's a point where you stop being upset, you stop being mad or whatever, those emotions that have brought you from the decisions that Disney decided to take towards the EU and all of that. And there's a point now where you just got to laugh at all this bullshit because you have these huge fans of Disney Star Wars coming up and, oh, I don't like the EU, it broke continuity and all this stuff and trying to shove it in quote unquote EU elitist faces, right? Where then we have proof right here and continued proof that they continue to break continuity in their own lore. Their own lore, where they said they're going to keep everything in, in one single history, in one single timeline, in one continuity. They're breaking their own lore. That is some funny shit because they're fucking hypocrites. But what still gets me upset a little bit, not because I care about them and their lore, is that when you get into the creation of Andor and even the creation of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, they're rebooting the movies, George's movies, through those shows. So they're not really necessarily touching George's movies, but their content that they're creating is rebooting and giving people a different perspective of what George intended. Yeah. That's what you got to keep an eye on about. That's what you got to keep your eye on. Laugh at them breaking their own continuity, but keep an eye on what they're doing to George's movies through their content. Now, does it matter to us who love George Lucas era Star Wars? Not that much, really. But when you have the new property saying that they're going to keep continuity to everything, including George's movies, and honor it, that's not what's happening here. That's not it. That's not happening whatsoever here. Yeah. So with me, I will continue to talk about it. I will continue to compare and contrast whether I do a video about it with characters from real Star Wars versus Disney Star Wars, or rather I talk with you guys on here on Coffee Chat or another live stream. Because it's always good to keep that up in front so that you guys can make a creative, educational decision and an intelligent one on where do you want to be when it comes to Star Wars? What do you want to put up with when it comes to Star Wars? And of course, they're going to continue to gaslight like they did about Reva and the actress who played her. They're going to continue to pull out the ists and the phobes because we don't like a character or the direction they took the character. It's not about the actress or the actor, because we can disassociate. We can, disassociate between the two, right? We can distinctively separate the actor from the actress, or the actor from, sorry, the actor from the character, the actress from the character, right? Yeah. And we can make those constructive criticism. Now, if the actor or the actress doesn't act out very well, we're just talking about the skill, not the person in general, not the skin color, none of that, not the gender. It's just if their skill, if they didn't meet the expectations that we want for that character and they didn't act it out. And it could also be the direction of the director. And they could have acted the best way they could too, as well. Like when we talk about the PT, Hayden gave what he could according to what George gave him. And I think he did pretty well with it, right? For being the type of character he needed to be for Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. So it's not like I'm being racist or sexist towards Hayden. Like I don't like white people and male people, male. It's just I'm giving a constructive criticism. Just like with Reva or whatever her name is. I didn't like her acting. And I'm going to give you guys a huge shocker. Gina Carano, I didn't really care for her acting Yeah. And for Cara Dune. But people liked her. And that's fine. But it doesn't mean I don't like Gina for who she is and what she's accomplished for herself. I just think she could have done better. Right? And that's what this is all about here, is someone who has been involved with Star Wars most of my life. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I always get mad at people like, oh, I've liked Star Wars since 1977, so I know more than you. You could have watched it. Doesn't mean that you understood what was going on. You know, but anyways, we aren't going to go there. That's a whole nother conversation. But, so, I watched it develop. I watched it grow. Luke Skywalker, I don't care for Mark Hamill that much right now. I don't care for the direction he's taken his platform and everything. But I respect for what he brought out in Luke Skywalker years ago when he was young. And so I could separate the actor from the character. And that's what this is about. And so Disney, Star Wars, Disney in general is setting the stage for when we come out with our constructive criticism to start setting the stage of, issophobes that we're toxic or what have you. No, it's not. If a fan doesn't give the actor or the actress criticism and they can't take the criticism, that means they don't want to grow. That means that they don't want to grow in their profession and become the best they can be. Yeah. Yeah. And I seen that stock poll too as well. Yeah. He wants to write again as well. I remember talking about that. Yeah. So that's why I'm here, you guys. It's not, so I'm giving you guys some comparing contrasting or whatever. So let's go ahead and look at the other one I wanted to show. And I want to give credit to the Sentinel here. I pulled it off his IG account here. And this goes back to, and I was going to pull up the whole article, but I decided not to. But before we get into this, I'm going to go ahead and check and end the poll. So if you're just tuning in right now, I have 26 beautiful souls here. So if you guys are just tuning in, please get your vote in. I'm getting ready, giving you a minute, counting down a minute to get your vote in, and then I'm going to end the poll. So here we go. Favorite young readers are young adult series. Jedi Knights, Young Jedi Knights, 48%. Jedi Apprentice, 44%. Junior Jedi Knights, 4%, and Galaxy of Fear, 4%. So we have two that are tied. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now. This is the standings. These are the standings. Yeah. So thank you guys again. I was like, what should I do? So this was very last minute on the poll here. So here you go. The winner is Young Jedi Knights with Jedi Apprentice behind it. And then we have the tie between the Junior Jedi Knights and Galaxy of Fear at 3%. So we got a couple more people who scooted in with a vote. Yeah. So thank you guys again. I always love to do those polls for you guys just to kind of get you guys thinking about what you have consumed in the past, or maybe you want to read something that I showed or learn more about something that I showed, that I shared in the polls and stuff. Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for participating. All right. So this is from the Sentinel. Thank you again. And he shared this on here, and I read part of the article, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with this. But this is from this Vanity Fair in May. Tony Gilroy revealed the show will alter Star Wars canon. Again, so altering, meaning it's going to break continuity with something. It's going to change something because they can't keep it straight. They can't keep it in one seamless timeline. They have to change. They have to change something. So basically, in quotes, there are certain events, and I guess this is from Tony, there are certain events that happen in these 5 years that are important and need to be paid attention to. There are certain people, characters, and that are legacy characters. So quote unquote legacy characters, which I myself use, and I've heard other people use the legacy characters. Those are George Lucas characters, right? That the audience, the passionate audience, really feels that they have an understanding of and know, he detailed. In some case, they're right. And in some cases, that we're saying is what you know, what you've been told, what's on Wikipedia, what you've been telling each other is really all wrong. This is from Tony Gilroy, who is basically one of the creatives or director or whatever for Andor. So take that in, you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and pause here and take this super chat here. So Dr. Coffin Nails, Nathan P. Butler of Star Wars Timeline Gold, one of the best guides in Star Wars continuity, quit doing his timeline over Disney's lack of continuity. Oh my God. Yeah, see, it's a mess. And too bad he quit, because he could have been keeping track of the continuity being screwed up. That would have been fun to see and review. And I have a stupid car zipping around right here by my studio. You hear that going on? All right. So with this, so the legacy characters that we have in here is Mon Mothma, probably Bail Organa, and there are two major leaders that basically have built up what we see with the Rebel Alliance going into the OT, and then once they win at Endor and do some mop up and cleanups afterwards, Mon Mothma does create the New Republic, which they really destroy her post Return of the Jedi during that time frame. And yeah, so basically, in some cases they were right, but basically what you've been told, what's on Wikipedia, which I don't trust Wikipedia, but at one point they were okay, done very well with the continuity and stuff. And what you've been telling each other is really wrong, is really all wrong. So that is setting up to let you guys know that they are changing these legacy characters of how we knew them. How we knew them in the EU particularly, and maybe how you knew them in what Disney Star Wars was doing with them in their own continuity. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with that. Let's see here. Soul Assassin. To the Sarlacc with that Disney heretic. Let's see here what's going on here. Is that Darko Malfoy? I don't know who you're talking about. And then laugh out loud. It looks like they hired Ellen DeGeneres to be the Imperial High Supreme General Imperial person. Who knows? And when you see an Imperial woman in such a position, and I'm just going to reference back to Open Airlock's video about like the Imperial, like racism and stuff in the Star Wars EU or the Star Wars lore and everything. I don't recall the name, the exact name of that video. So if Soul Assassin, if you can find it, please share it. But basically he touches bases with the prejudice that the Empire had against species and women and all of that. Now the Emperor himself, if that gender, like a woman, or the species, like Thrawn, if he was valuable enough to be used, then he kind of tossed that prejudice aside, right? That racism aside. But that was the exception, not the rule. Because we've seen, the Empire enslave Wookiees and other species and stuff. And, a lot of special attention was given to the human race. And then, but when it came to women as in the Imperial Navy and the Imperial forces, they had to really, really come on top. And that's like Natasi Dalla, that's like Isani Isard, are two prime example characters, two women who pushed themselves to the top and that were, the exception to the rule as well. So there you go. So when it comes to Mon Mothma in this, and I didn't really watch the trailer for Andor, but I've heard people talk about Mon Mothma and saying that she has to be the thorn in the side of the Empire, I guess you could say, so that she can kind of cover up what she's doing behind their backs. I think from what I remember, especially through the comics, that she appeased, she kind of like, I wouldn't say bent the knee, but she complied with the Empire as a senator. Not as much as Bail Organa, because he had Leia to think about. So with what I'm saying is Bail didn't even get involved with the planning and the rebellion forming for a while because he had to be concerned. He had concern about Leia being, discovered as Anakin Vader's daughter. But Mon Mothma on her end, even though she seemed like she, complied, she was working behind the scenes to help form the rebellion more so than Bail. So I don't know which direction they're going with her and what they're going to do, but they make her look like a haughty-taughty kind of person in Andor. So we'll see what happens with that. I am very curious, and we'll keep an eye out for that. So whoever's going to do reviews, I'm excited to watch those reviews. I already read that one here. Disney is the Empire. We are the rebellion. There you go. That's a good way to look at that. Malfoy, the blonde kid from Harry Potter. Oh, okay. So I'm not very well versed in the lore for Harry Potter, so that's why I didn't catch. So thank you for telling me. I think I know who you're talking about now. That's the L lady from the Afra comics, I believe. Really? I don't know much about that, so I don't know. Let's see here. I guess you guys are agreeing with each other. Okay. And the Emperor is so progressive now. Are we sure he was the villain in the Disney Star Wars? I don't know anymore. Maybe he saved Anakin from, being groomed by Obi-Wan. I don't know. The way the story's going. And here you go. So you guys go ahead and check that out if you haven't had a chance to watch that. Great history behind the Empire and what Palpatine was about and how he basically used people and species. So people, I mean species of all kinds, not just human. So he used to get where he's at, to gain some trust too. Because that's what part of manipulation is about. So very fun. So if you guys have not had a chance to get into any of the EU stuff, you can always ask me where to start. You can ask myself, Open Airlock Policy, Matt Wilkins. You can go to Matt Wilkins' channel and start listening to some of the reviews that he does. He's doing a reread, but he did reviewed everything in the timeline before. So, and then Iris says, I thought I was Mandela effect or something because I thought it wasn't the Empire's not favoring aliens. Let's see here. Thrawn was the exception because he was so good, right? And then you can even say that with Dala, Natasi Dala, and even Isani Isard. So basically, her dad was was on the rebellion side, I guess you can say, and she killed him for it. So gaining his trust. That's like in the story in a nutshell. Here, I'll take that. Thank you. I got my drink. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? The company is called Tiger Tea. All right. Let's see here. And then, yeah, it's xenophobic or xenophobia. Thank you, baby. And I don't think Palps was xenophobic, so to speak. He hated everyone and used aliens like Darth Maul and they were the exception to the rule because of that. And like I said, there was that distinctive prejudice, I guess you can say. And people who are prejudiced can still use people that they're prejudiced against for their own means. And that's what makes it worse, is going down that. Almost like people saying that they're on the side of Native Americans. And I'm just using that in general because I'm Native American. And, and they speak for us and they're biased and they stand by us and stuff like that. But in reality, we're just being used as tokens, as virtual signaling and stuff. So kind of in that way, but there's two sides. There's two extreme sides, right? I don't mind you standing beside me for some kind of, like for a stance or whatever at the time, but don't tokenize me for your political means. That's where you lose respect from me. It's tokenizing me and my people. Mon Mothma was the worst leader for the New Republic. Are you talking about the EU, like the original real Star Wars, or in the Disney? Because in the Disney, she wasn't very well. She didn't go well at all. I don't think Palp was, I think I read that one. let's see here. If they wanted to be realistic, they should make her like a French spy in World War II and sleeping with high ranked guys and feeding off the rebels. Feeding it to the rebels. Interesting. Yeah, so there you guys go. So I just wanted to discuss this. This has been on my mind for a few days now, and it's like kind of been festering, but I'm kind of tired of it in a sense too. It's like it's nothing new. I can laugh at the direction they're going with this, but then when it comes to George's like legacy characters being reinvented to fit some political needs within their own property and not honoring the intention George really wanted these characters to be as, it's very frustrating. And so when they say they're honoring Star Wars and they're honoring George's characters, like Kennedy said that they would do, they're not. They're not. And so it's like I could do 1,000 videos about this, and I want to do a lot of compare and contrast. It's like there's so much I can do right now because there's a lot going on in my life, and I apologize for that to you guys, members of my channel and subscribers as well. I should have like a few compare and contrasts with certain characters that Disney, is doing to them. In fact, I have in the editor right now is Obi-Wan's love interest as a young Padawan and pre-Padawan towards Siri Tachi. So that's in the editing right now. So I just had to put everything to the side and just disconnect from social media a little bit and stuff. And then plus I've been working out a lot as well. I have my own goals of taking care of my health and my body and keeping it fit. So I've been kind of doing that and kind of sore in the shoulders and stuff right now. So let's see what you guys have to say. Earth has nothing to do with Star Wars universe. Remember, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? You can ask for help, but I'm seldom reliable. Well, thank you. At least you're here, Soul. At least you're here, Soul Assassin. I miss the Isla Marys. Yeah. Have to go and watch it. Watch it while whole tomorrow. Whole tomorrow. Have a great day, y'all. And F Disney. Yeah. Hashtag F Disney. Thank you for coming in, Alex. Thank you for the continued support. We are going to start wrapping up as well because it's now past 1 and I need my lunch. I need to feed myself. But I'm going to go ahead and finish reading some of these comments that you guys are leaving me here. Palpatine, in my honest opinion, was into using people, especially other species, yet it's one of the movies show don't tell things. Compared to the creature cantina, Lucas meant that. Yeah, that cantina scene, amazing, because we got to see in one scene in A New Hope, major world building. If you haven't watched me on the spacing on Open Airlock Policies channel, we discussed that because we are going over the Vice quote unquote documentary involving Marcia. And it's, to me, that's a hit piece against George. It's like they're erasing him out of Star Wars in a sense. But that cantina scene was brought up with in that show and stuff, and the production of that and stuff like that. But when you look at the cantina scene, it's amazing because you have world building happening there. You have species from all different parts of the galaxy because those cities, those towns on Tatooine are basically spaceports. That's why they are there. Just like, if you want to go and compare and contrast it to California with some of the cities that were formed here, it was because of the gold rush, right? And so they had a reason to be here, and that's the spaceports. And a lot of like people who are smugglers and even honest merchants, use those ports on Tatooine, spaceports, cities, to go to rest, exchange, do whatever they need to do for the trade and stuff. And it's not a common, place for the Empire to go to that much as well. So that's why we hear Obi-Wan given, like this is, scum and villainy place, kind of speech there. And so that place right there, beautiful world building. We get like a glimpse of the galaxy just in that cantina. It's amazing. Amazing stuff, you guys. Amazing. All right, I'm going to finish up these comments here and we're going to call it a day. So thank you guys for coming with me to Coffee Chat Off the Hour. And if I ever have to reschedule or push back the time, it'll be called Coffee Chat Off the Hour. I think that's a beautiful catchphrase to that. Tarkin Novel canonized Armand Isard, but he isn't existing anywhere else in other novels. That's because Tarkin was written in the buyout, and there's some novels that they said we'll keep as our canon, and then they had some that said we're not going to. And so when that decision was made, they had, that book was kind of rewritten in a way to fit in the lore there. So that's probably why, because it was intentionally made for the real EU and not the Disney EU. So that's why that he was in there. All right. We got to see the spectrum of life in the galaxy far, far away, yet only human in the Empire. Yeah, exactly. And I hope, yes, world building is a thing that it seems like Disney doesn't seem to get. And stuff. So hopefully I opened your eyes to all of this, or I at least open your eyes to keeping an eye out to what's really going on with the property of Star Wars. And if you're all about the continuity, about the way George wanted it in his company, about keeping one continuity to the canon and all this other stuff, then this, at least you're keeping your eyes open to make your own constructive, and it's intelligent decision to where you want to go with Star Wars. Larry says some of the Cantina creatures were derived from other sci-fi sources, Twilight Zone, and yeah, that's exactly. So we kind of see I wouldn't say a crossover, but George did repurpose some of them for his galaxy, and I think that's pretty cool. The Vice series makes Marsha look like an angry ex. Oh yeah, it does. She's an angry bitch. I've lost so much respect for her. I've never was the one. I can't believe these people. I wasn't, I've never been the one that put her on a pedestal for she saved Star Wars in the editing room, because she didn't really. There is a team of them, and including George and stuff. And so, yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm so grateful that you guys came in and hung out with me. I'm so happy that I decided to do a Coffee Chat Off the Hour. This was pretty fun, and I had almost 30 of you guys in here at one point. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. It's always been a pleasure to be able to sit and nerd out with you and talk Star Wars with you, good, bad, and the ugly, basically. And so thank you guys again, and may the Force be with you.
Another happy landing.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.